Hello there. This is the explanation how I got the greetings, the screeching sound. Sorry, which begins just as the clowns got a gun pointing to the policeman, and they're jumping down from the second floor. Yeah, primarily the sound was actually a vocal sound that I was making. I was just messing around trying to find sounds that I could create as an echo of a scream or an echo of any sort of sound. And yeah, what I did was I realised that I wanted it to be quite high pitch to create quite a spine-tingling scream throughout, and I made a weird high-pitched noise as it was, and realised that would be quite a good starting point. So I and it's quite rhythmical as well. So I started with the sample itself, and I started pitching it up to see what sound I could find. As you can see, I'm pitching it up little by little, and I did it using in classical mode, so that if I did pitch it up, it would shorten the sample, so I could loop it over, so it would create one long sample. And I found that at about 1,400 cents, the sound was right, so I decided to try see if using harmonic correction or anything would work. And I also wanted to see whether using a different algorithm in it would work, and whether free would work, as in the free mode, so it wouldn't shorten the sample, so it would stay the same length. But I actually found that it was fine as it was. It was better to use it in classic, sorry, not classical, and keep it as is now. Yeah, so having heard the sound as it is, it's quite a sort of a spine-tingling sound. It sounds like the echo of people's screams. And what I'm doing now is I'm just top and tailing it to make sure that I've got no breaks in the audio, so that it doesn't break in between loops, because what I want to do is loop it throughout, so it's just a constant scream. Excuse me, the constant echo of a scream at least. And what I'm doing here is I'm just looping the sample so that it goes throughout. Now, the sound actually has too many peaks, so what I've decided to do is reduce the length of the sample to make it a little bit more fluid in the transition between samples, and it still sounds a little bit. It still has a bit of a click and pop at the beginning, so I'm taking off some of the beginning bit so that it does sound like a constant screech or scream. Now, it's not actually that loud, and so what I've decided to do, I thought to myself I'd probably benefit from finding a way to make it a bit louder, so I decided to normalize it. So that's now normalized, which makes it, I mean, there's a lot of peaks, but it's just brought everything to a comfortably audible level so that it stands on its own in the mix. Now, I'm quite happy with that sound. It sounds like, it does sound like the echo of someone's scream, and it does sound quite spine-tingling and quite visceral. And now I'm just placing it correctly in the piece. I'm just putting it in the relevant place. Now, I decided to line it up with the movie just after the glass breaking. So what I'm doing is I'm getting it on the screen so that I can see exactly where it is, and I can drag it along and find exactly where the glass breaking is. which is actually pretty much where I'd left it anyway, so that it begins as soon as the glass break has finished, or a fraction of a second afterwards at least. And what I'm doing here is I'm just looping it so that it extends throughout the piece to all the way to the end. And I'm just also, because I want there to be a break in it between when they go inside the room, when they're jumping out the window at the top, I need to go through and find out where those scenes are, and therefore take them out. Now I left that as a marker point. I'm just trying to find the point at which the camera stops to turn right to go into the room. I just merge them together to make them one track. Now, so that the scream fades in, I decided to put a bit of an automation on the volume, so that when it picks up, it feels like, because you're going up into that floor, the echoes from that floor you're getting closer to, and therefore are getting louder. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.